Good evening, Bahamas. Coming up tonight.
Dominica is set to receive even more aid from the Bahamas.
The Minister of Health discusses plans to send health professionals to Dominica.
A man charged with murder before the magistrate's court. Find out what his attorney told the judge.
Our news is brought to you by Alive, the nation's newest and best LTE network.
Good to be alive.
Welcome to our news and thanks for joining us. I'm Kyle Joaquin. Topping news tonight, Prime Minister Dr. Hubert Minnis last night shut down critics who have blasted the Dominican immigration policy as he insisted the Bahamas does not exist in isolation. His comments came moments after he returned from visiting the island that was ravaged by Hurricane Maria last month. Prime Minister Minnis also revealed Dominica would be getting further assistance from the Bahamas. Jasmine Brown was there for his arrival and has the details in this report.
The Prime Minister and his delegation arrived just after 8 p.m. as he revealed the Bahamas will be offering even more assistance. While leading a delegation to that country, Minnis met with Dominican Prime Minister Roosevelt Scarrett and other officials and was given a tour of the destruction caused by Maria. Minnis called the damage unimaginable as he stood firm on his administration's pledge to assist Dominica.
The schools have been destroyed, the medical facilities have been destroyed. And I know that there were concerns about what we've offered before. There are still challenges with the medical fraternity, and being a part of CARICOM, I've offered medical assistance. I would meet with my Minister of Health and see how many physicians he can send to assist them. Medical services and care is greatly needed. And I think if we were in a similar situation, we would have been seeking assistance.
In addition to sending medical staff, Minnis also presented Scarrett with a $60,000 donation raised by the private sector. This is just the latest assistance the Bahamian government is giving the people of Dominica. After briefly meeting with Scarrett last month, Minnis announced plans to accept students and other Dominicans into the Bahamas while also relaxing immigration policies. The move sparked heated criticism even from a member of his own party. In the House of Assembly last week, Pine Ridge MP Frederick McAlpine insisted charity begins at home and ends abroad, adding that people in his constituency are in the same position or worse than those in Dominica.
My job is to be among people, and my job as a leader, I must always remember that Bahamas is not the world. We do not exist in isolation. And we try to assist others just like they assist us. We are part of CARICOM, we are part of the United Nations. Individuals may look at constituency level. I cannot look at just Kalani. I must look at Kalani, I must look at the Bahamas, and I have UN and CARICOM obligations and responsibility. So I must look at a more global picture.
When asked if he was disappointed by the criticism, he had this quick response.
Individuals speak their mind. This is democracy. That's why you can ask me such questions. It's democratic.
Reporting for OUR News, I'm Jasmine Brown.
Well, following the Prime Minister's promise to provide health care assistance to the island of Dominica, the Minister of Health, Dr. Dwayne Sands, has immediately received backlash considering that health care professionals have not returned to those islands in the Bahamas affected by Hurricane Irma. Here's George Urbain.
According to the Minister of Health, there's a difference between having a section of an island damaged and having an entire country brought to its knees. Those persons having a negative reaction to sending healthcare professionals to Dominica are just being selfish, according to Sands.
I want to point out that there's a distinct difference between a country which has been totally devastated and one community on one island, which, while having been horribly devastated, there are resources within country to assist. I toured Ragged Island and was indeed heartbroken to see the devastation. But that is a far cry different when your entire country is wiped out.
The Minister of Health is now relying on healthcare professionals to step forward to volunteer to lend assistance to the people of Dominica.
What we will plan to do is to organize a team of volunteers whether that's physicians, nurses, EMTs, etc., to travel to the affected area to provide specific types of services. We don't anticipate that this is going to be an extended stint, but to provide aid to people who are at their lowest right now.
San says the government has also been criticized for offering to send medical professionals to Dominica when there is a shortage of doctors and nurses in the Bahamas' public health care system. However, he insisted that the team will consist of specialists, not general practitioners.
I think if we can get 3 or 4 or maybe 5 people all together, and then perhaps rotate over a period of a week at a time, I think that makes a whole lot of sense. Bear in mind that you're not talking about luxury accommodations. You're talking about people providing outpost care.
As for how much this initiative will cost the Bahamian government, San says they are relying on donations for health supplies and outpost living arrangements for volunteers.
I don't think that the exposure to the Bahamian people or to the Bahamian government is going to be that great if we have people volunteering, using vacation time. I'm sure that what we're going to try to do is get as many donations as we can of medical supplies, whether it's dressings, medication, and so on.
Reporting for OUR News, I'm Georgia Obey.
While following a trip with the Prime Minister to storm-ravaged Dominica, the Minister of Immigration, Brent Simonet, says his ministry is still looking on how exactly to relax the immigration policy, but they will most likely move forward with short-term visas.
No. The minister has discretion to deal with that. And we'll repeat again, we don't know the numbers yet, so therefore is not unusual. When I was in immigration before and we had this type of issue with another sister country in the Caribbean, we just gave them either short-term visitor visas or depending on what type of stay.
So it would be the same thing in the system?
It would be the same thing, yeah.
The time limit on these visas has yet to be established, according to the immigration minister, who added that it's hard to say when the country will be up and running when they are still searching for dead bodies.
We don't know. I mean, you know, I've heard the feelings of some Bahamians who think, why, you know, we're talking about an entire country in Dominica. You know, fortunately, whether we like to say it this way or not, whilst we had devastation in some parts of the Bahamas, we have other parts of the Bahamas that are up and running like we are here, and business is normal. Their whole country was affected. They still have in the dogs from Cuba looking for bodies to see if there are any people still alive.
Simonet added that after seeing the damage firsthand, he's heartbroken that some Bahamians had such a negative reaction when similar measures had been taken before.
For instance, let's take Haiti. When Haiti had that tremendous earthquake many years ago, I was Minister of Immigration then. We suspended repatriations back to Haiti. We let persons out of the detention center. So we've always tried, with regard to nationals of countries that have difficulties, to be able to deal with that issue.
In other news, the 39 charges against former Cabinet Minister Shane Gibson have been reduced to 31. This as the former Labor and National Insurance Minister was served with a voluntary bill of indictment in the Magistrates Court today. Gibson's legal team now has 21 days to provide an alibi. He now faces 31 charges, 15 counts of extortion, 15 counts of bribery, and 1 count of misconduct of a public official. That's down from the 39 counts he was initially charged with. It is alleged that Gibson extorted $250,000 from Jonathan Ash. But his attorney, Wayne Monroe QC, argued before Magistrate Subasula Swain that 21 days for the legal team to provide proof that Gibson wasn't around during the time of the offense is impossible because it doesn't speak to one particular day. Numerous relatives and supporters came out for Gibson at the Magistrates Court complex today, but only few were allowed in the courtroom. Still, Gibson appeared to be in good spirits, a stark contrast to his initial appearance when he moved around on crutches. His matter has now been fast-tracked to the Supreme Court, where Gibson will appear before Justice Bernard Turner on October 20th at 10 a.m. His bail was extended. A Farrington Road resident was hauled before the Magistrates Court, charged with a murder that occurred on September 19th of this year. Our Jared Higgs has the story, including the accusation laid by the accused against the police.
21-year-old Marcelo Harris was charged with murder in the Magistrates Court today before Deputy Chief Magistrate Andrew Forbes. It is alleged that Harris, while concerned with others, did cause the death of Shanador Green on September 19th. According to police reports, Green was killed while sitting in a vehicle with his 2 young daughters off Farrington Road. Harris, who is not required to enter a plea, sat in court this afternoon, shaking and holding his head in his hands. Now, Harris's attorney, Ian Cargill, was not present for the start of the arraignment, but when he did show up, he relayed accusations of police brutality from his client. According to Cargill, Harris was beaten by a police officer on Friday, September 29th, and was denied medical treatment when it was requested. Cargill further alleges that the beating continued on Monday, October 2nd, with Harris only receiving medical treatment after he vomited blood. Magistrate Forbes made note of the allegation and ordered Harris be seen by the prison doctor. He also advised Cargill to file the necessary paperwork to formalize the complaint. As the court does not have jurisdiction to grant bail for a murder charge, Harris was remanded to the Bahamas Department of Corrections. The matter was adjourned to December 6th for a service of voluntary bill of indictment paperwork. Reporting for OUR News, I'm Jared Higgs.
Still to come on OUR News, the school registration process begins for Dominican students. The details are after this break.